Hey everybody, this is Jason. I just wanted to make a quick video about an article that I read about a week ago about the CIA, Rupert Murdoch, President Ronald Reagan, and billionaire Richard Mellon Scaife all supporting the Iran Contra broader right-wing anti-communist wars of the Central Intelligence Agency and the military-industrial complex in South and Central America. Some of the key points of this are that Rupert Murdoch in 1983 was asked to begin to help propagandize not only the American people but the people abroad, because his base, he didn't own any media in the United States yet. He used his Australian, because he was an Australian citizen, used his Australian papers and his papers overseas to influence the Reagan-Bush administration's agenda in Central and South America. Now, this is Iran Contra. This is cocaine being run from Nicaragua and Costa Rica and El Salvador and Central American, Guatemala, Central American and South American countries run into our cities in the United States. We know this from Dark Alliance, the great book from Gary Webb. They brought the cocaine in this country and let the cocaine come into this country, the CIA did, to fund the Nicaraguan Contras against the communists in Nicaragua. The support of the ultra right wing in this country was crucial during this time. A lot of right wing people like Pete Coors, who owns the Coors beer empire, and many others gave money to the Nicaraguans, which is illegal. American citizens are not allowed to give money to foreign militaries or foreign, anti-political groups in countries without. You just can't. You're not supposed to do it. And they were giving hundreds of thousands of dollars, which went to buy guns, went to buy, rifles, jeeps, implements of war, bullets, etc. They were roving hit squads in Nicaragua. That's what they were. And the leftist government came in and overthrew them. And that caused a lot of problems with the right wing in this country, because there was a lot of political and business interests in South America. There's a lot of natural resources. A lot of corporations were being fucked with, and they didn't like it. So they got in bed with the Nicaraguan Contras so they could overtake the Sandinista government in Nicaragua. What happened was, it was exposed after it was exposed in a couple of different ways, but one of the ways it was exposed was there was a pilot by the name of Hassan Fous whose plane crashed, and Nicaragua, the leftists, leftist guerrillas found it. The Sandinistas found it and showed that it had guns in it, and I think it had cocaine in it as well, and that kind of opened up the whole thing because that went international. So what the right wing did in this country in the 1980s, starting in about 1983, but even before then, was use the media to propagandize the American people and people abroad to support what America was doing in the Middle East and South America. Some of the interesting stuff about this, though, is Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch in 1983 was asked, like I said, to start this, and he did. In 1985, he finally became a citizen, and Reagan Bush was the Reagan administration. He became a citizen under, so he could buy American media companies, and then coincidentally, 2 years later, in 1987, the Fairness Doctrine, which is, of course, the doctrine that states that if you're going to have a right wing on, you got to have somebody from the left, and you got to have somebody from other groups. And they have to be able to share their opinions too, because that's how a good democracy works, or even a republic like we live in. If we're informed, if we have both sides, then we can make informed, smart, intelligent decisions. And that's exactly the opposite of what our political leaders ever want you to be, is informed or make smart decisions. Because they want you to think on emotion. They want you to use all of the things in your mind other than logic and reason. That's why they push God. That's why they push. The Pentagon pushes aliens. It gets supernatural things are pushed through the intelligence community to simply confuse you through Hollywood. And that was one of the things that was done in the middle 80s to support Nicaragua. There were movies made, and one of those movies was called McBain, and it had Chris Walken in it, and it was about communists taking over South America, country in South America, and then this ex-Vietnam veteran had to go down there with his white men and save the country from the bad communist left. And you saw these movies all the time. You saw it with Top Gun. You saw it with Red Dawn. You saw it with many other movies, military movies, that they had this unknown kind of South American enemy. who was a communist and had to be overtaken and was going to be a threat to the American way of life because they were so close to our border. It never panned out. It never materialized. It wasn't true. These people were trying to get their own countries back. They weren't interested in going to other countries and spreading the gospel of communism. They wanted to empower themselves and their own countries. They didn't care about America. They weren't powerful enough to mess with America. Even if they'd all gotten together, they still weren't powerful enough. And that was the lie. The lie was that communism was going to overtake South America and Central America and destroy it. You know what's taken over parts of Central and South America and in Mexico? Capitalism, and it's destroying it. Capitalism, as we all know, when everything has a dollar sign on it, when everything has a price on it, there is nothing more valuable, nothing so valuable that you can't buy it, essentially, even human life. We know that we've lost. That wasn't communism, that's capitalism. Now, we look at what Rupert Murdoch was paid off. He was paid off, I believe, in citizenship in 1985, and I think he was even paid off with the Fairness Doctrine being taken away in 1987. And now, in 2015, Rupert Murdoch owns DirecTV, Fox News, Fox, The Weekly Standard, the Dow Jones, which is the huge, it's a news agency, but as we know, it's the Dow Jones Average, etc. That's actually a financial news corporation that he owns, and the Wall Street Journal, and he owns others. He owns others in the United Kingdom and in Australia and in New Zealand and in Canada and in all over the world. And what he is, he's a hard right-wing psychopath. If you've ever read Rupert Murdoch's magazines or if you watch Fox News, they do not inform you. They are lying to you. They tell you lie after lie after lie. The lies of the military, how wonderful it is. The lies of capitalism, how great it is for everybody. The lies of, well, the Ayn Rand bullshit. You're responsible for your own destiny and all that bullshit. No, you're not. If you live in a society, we're all responsible for each other's destiny. And the people at the top who control the money are really more in control of our destiny. But let me get back to this. So this explains to me why Oliver North was so popular after Iran Contra, because Oliver North who has a show on Fox News, of course, and ran for Senate in Virginia and lost. He was a drug-dealing, lying motherfucker. Look up what Rex, I think it was Rex 81 or Rex 51. That's the overtaking of the United States government. That's the declaration of martial law in the United States. Now, why the fuck was a Marine colonel who was working covert operations dealing drugs and guns in South America having anything to do with martial law in America? Well, it makes sense because that's what the right wing wants. And when I harp on Holocaust revisionism, how bad it is, and I harp on it, this comes from your right wing. Your right wing CIA, business first, kill people who don't agree with us entity. And that is the Central Intelligence Agency, along with its many cutouts and many other affiliated intelligence communities from all over the world. The Mossad is in that. The Saudi Arabian intelligence is in that. South African intelligence is in that. You can look at, we're seeing all these people come out of Yemen and other places that America has footholds in their intelligence community, in the West in general. Iran Contra in the middle 80s was supported and built up through private propaganda campaigns from Rupert Murdoch and people like Richard Melanchef, who was the guy who went after Clinton. I'm going to do a video about him next, but this primarily was about Rupert Murdoch and Ronald Reagan and the CIA and William Casey, who was the head of the CIA at the time, going out and purposely lying to people and propagandizing them to support the right-wing wars that this country was engaged in South and Central America. And it was disgusting because we had no reason to be there other than we had to fight the menace communism. And the menace communism wasn't a menace. The menace was capitalism. The menace was taking indigenous people off of their lands and then corporatizing their everything that they have. Okay, well, now you're off your land and you're going to be charged rent and you're going to work in our corporation or our factory. Look at China. They're just taking people who were fishermen, who were farmers, who worked off the land, and they're going into their villages. The Three Gorges Dam, think about what the Three Gorges Dam did over there. The Three Gorges Dam flooded so many little communities, so many little farming communities, that it forced people to move into the cities and work for the corporations, for work to make, shoes for the West, amongst other things. And the genesis of it is, I believe part of the genesis anyway, is this 1980s Iran-Contra connection between Rupert Murdoch, the CIA, Ronald Reagan, and William Casey, and Richard Melanchef. And I think we need to know that we are being propagandized to. And I'm going to do another video about this. This video's a little over 10 minutes, and I'm going to do another one. And I'm going to harp on this because I think it's important. I think that you can start to understand why Oliver North has a career, why Fox News is accepted in this country. Not let alone being the most popular news entity on television, which is scary, which is completely scary, but why it's so accepted. It's just, oh, well, Fox News said, and Fox News plays in your, I mean, I used to go to work, when I would go to work, it'd be playing in our break room. I would go to I had to go to the emergency room, Fox News would be playing there. Fox News was being played everywhere. It felt like 1984. It felt like I'm watching blonde girls who, with, low-cut, V-cut dresses on, telling me about the world events. Just pretty people lying to you. And I think the right wing, I think Rupert Murdoch was paid back for all of the lies that he did from 1983 to now. I think he lies and tells, and he's completely in the pocket of the right wing. And how anybody takes anything that Rupert Murdoch says seriously, or his news organization seriously, they are part of the worst elements of America and of the world in general, and of the West. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.